Hi, I'm Catherine Gray, founder of She Angel Investors and co founder of the She Angels Foundation. I'm also the podcast host of Invest in Her and an award winning producer, author, and TEDx speaker. Our show, Invest in Her, features phenomenal female founders and funders. As you know, women receive less than 2% of venture capital funding. Our series is about accelerating the funding of women by connecting them to funding resources. Let's meet today's guest. Welcome to this week's episode of Invest in Her. I'm your host, Catherine Gray, founder of She Angel Investors and co-founder of the She Angels Foundation, also the general partner at Silicon Valley Women Founders Fund, and the producer of the new movie, Show Her the Money. And I have a great guest for you today. She's right aligned with all of our mission here to change up the venture capital system to fund more women and get more women investing in venture. Let's welcome to the show, Paige Hendrix Buckner, the CEO of All Raise. Hi, Paige. How are you?
I'm so great, Catherine. It's such an honor to be here with you today.
Well, back at you. We just had those accolades before we got on the air, didn't we? How excited
We
we
did. Yeah.
And it is true. We're swimming in that same ecosystem.
Yeah.
For people that don't know what All Raise is, and I got this right off the website, grassroots movement,
Yes.
making the tech ecosystem more accessible, equitable, and diverse. Love that. Yeah.
Yeah, we love it. I think Catherine, what I keep thinking about, the two things that always keep me grounded in our work are we are here to move money, shift power, change culture. So that's the tagline. And then the other piece is that we want a future where women and non-binary leaders are building and funding the future.
Yes.
So this is like the perfect place to talk about those things.
It is. And I was going to say the other thing that I read about y'all, nonprofits serving the venture capital ecosystem. And this is something that, of course, is uh, a big focus of mine. The reason we, of course, created Show Her the Money movie was, I was like, wow, we have to get together with All Raise and all of these entities and make this a movement. And what better way than I do believe it's film and television that helps, change culture because it's an entertaining way of um, educating people, right? They don't even realize they're being educated. They're just enjoying the movie, the story, right? And they're like, oh, and I walked out learning about venture capital and how important it is to the future. And where we align, Paige, is that, women and a binary and people of color have to have a say so in this venture capital ecosystem. We've had no say so. And so I love what All Raise is doing to perpetuate education and focus around that.
Thanks, Catherine. I appreciate that. And I'll tell you, I feel the same way about your work. And what I love about what you just said is that it really does capture that feeling like you cannot be what you can't see. So that's one. But then number two, I think when we want to make a change, you need an interplay between pop culture, right? And then nonfiction at the same time. So who are people who are actually, living it, being it, doing it? But then also how are representations of those folks showing up in TV shows and movies? And I think fiction has a really big role to play here. So I couldn't agree with you more. And I think we've seen shifts in culture and composition around gender and race and ethnicity and a variety of identities. When we see a shift in pop culture, it can often lead the way. So I'm really excited to geek out about that with you when you're ready to.
Yeah. Now let's talk a little bit about All Raise since you're the CEO of that amazing organization. Now it says that, and maybe you have more now, I don't even know, a community of over 3,000 women and binary people in that entity. Is that correct? That are entrepreneurs?
Oh, great question. So Allraise, let me give you some context here and then narrow in on that number a little bit. So when Allraise
Tech
first
entrepreneurs,
started,
right? Tech,
say it again, sorry.
tech entrepreneurs.
Good question. So we actually are really focused on women and non-binary VCs right now, and that's been a really narrowed focus from where we started. And I'm happy to share with you a little bit about
Oh,
how we
I
got
love
there.
this. Great.
Yeah, yeah, I'm happy to geek out with you. So long story short, when we first started, we were here to support the success of women and non-binary investors, founders, and operators.
Yeah.
And then in 2023, when I stepped into this role, part of what I wanted to do was really focus us so we could maximize our impact. And so, based on the network that we were already serving and also the needs in the ecosystem, we felt like Allraise was best positioned to help women and non-binary VCs get their seat, be in that seat, keep that seat, and be wildly successful.
I love that. And so you're really focused on which part of the venture capital, like people starting the funds, people
Great
investing in
question.
the funds, people getting funding from the funds, or kind of all of that?
Yeah, great question. So we're really focused on people who are in roles where they get a chance to invest as a venture capitalist. And we serve junior roles all the way to the most senior roles. We serve people who are in firms and also firm managers, folks who are just getting started, people who have built firms and have a really big track record in that firm. So we're really all over the place in, I would say, a way that allows us to help people again get that seat, whether it's at a junior level or starting their own firm. Keep that seat, which is being successful inside of a firm where they've gotten a role, and associate, principal, partner plus roles. And then of course just knocking it out of the park, right? Getting access to some of the best deals, raising that next fund, building their brand, building their knowledge, their skills, and their credibility.
I love that. With more women than ever starting their own funds, we need this kind of support. Uh,
Yes,
100%. And it's very exciting, though, that for the first time in history, more women are starting their own funds than
that's right.
before, which
That's
means
right.
we need more women investing in those funds than ever before. And I know
That's
that's
right.
a mission of ours to try to get more women educated about this. Um, Everything from the movie to, for me, an offshoot of the movie was that we launched Silicon Valley Women Founders Fund to fund women in tech. So we do need more funds focused on women, BIPOC, LGBTQ, all these overlooked, you know, entrepreneurs that are such a great investment, right?
This part.
Data proves it, right? So why
That's
should
right.
we be investing in these brilliant innovators? It's a great opportunity to build wealth as well as make a huge impact. And I would say, what better combination than that, right?
That's right. And I think that is the reposition that I'm really excited about. That was always the case when we were talking about bringing more diverse perspectives to the table, whether it be, on the venture capital side, those folks who can wire and hire, right? And then also on the other side, when we talk about founders who are building the future of companies that will, affect the private and the public markets for the next several decades. So I couldn't agree with you more. And I have to tell you what I get really excited about, Catherine, is talking about the opportunity. And there's such great data, and some of it is very old. I think that's the part that's surprising for folks
Yeah.
that demonstrates the economic opportunity that you can unlock when you can cast your net wider and tap into markets by either again hiring people at your firm who can see the opportunity on the founder side, or by backing founders with diverse perspectives, lived experiences because of their race, their gender, their ethnicity, their geographic location.
And I think you'll agree with me on this, and it's a big focus of mine, and I'm sure it is of yours too, is that the great majority of women in college or high school today, along with LGBT kids and BIPOC, is they don't even know that venture is a career path.
That's
And
right.
I'm really on a mission, and which I'm sure aligns with all race, is how do we get this information into high schools that this is not just an investment path, this is not just a funding path as an entrepreneur, this is a career path, and we need more of you in those venture fund firms, like you're saying. And so education is key here. I know we're working on a program with that, and you all developed this Thai Young Entrepreneurs Program a while back to educate young people also. But I think the key to changing what happens in the next generation is absolutely educating young people. I wish they did this for us in high school, right? High school and college and university level. What is venture capital? Why is it so important to the future, to who gets funding and to what products and services we even see in the future. Um, and that they can be a part of that exciting arena. I know you're like me, Paige. It's so exciting to be in the venture capital arena. You get to see all the new and exciting innovations coming down the pike. Who wouldn't want to step into this arena? I say it's like the new book club, only way more exciting. You get together, and instead of reading a book or talking about a book, you get to see and hear about what new innovations are coming down the pike. And I've been in over 100 cities with our film and have met women, brilliant women in every single city that have the most game-changing ideas, and they need to be funded. And guess what? What a great opportunity we all have to invest in them, right?
That's right. I think that's right. And I want to go back to your point about high school and understanding this industry earlier. So before my time at Allraise, when I was actually a founder myself, I had the privilege of being an instructor as part of this Thai Oregon program that is connected to Thai Global. And I live in Portland, Oregon. And what was wonderful about that experience is that leveraging this wonderful innovation curriculum, we could go into high schools. I think we were in 4 to 5 high schools by the time I left, and then we had an extracurricular program. We were able to show students how to use design thinking to develop products and then businesses around those ideas. And what I loved about that experience was exposing students not just to the industry, but to the frameworks that help you brainstorm, that help you build, that help you iterate and innovate. And so, what's really funny, two things have actually happened to me in the last several weeks, is I've run into some of my former students
Oh,
out and about, which has been really cool. But what's neat about that is one of them shared with me how being part of that kind of curriculum where they learned about investing and they learned about building a business, it helped them not go take that path. But they're actually in healthcare now. But for now, it helped them understand the importance of picking the right team, which is a lesson that I think transcends and shows up in any career that you have, right? Which is great. So, what I love about the curriculum is that when you expose people to these ideas, it gives them the opportunity to innovate, it gives them the opportunity to lead whatever career path that they pick. The second student that I ran into was sharing with me the importance of connecting with mentors. And I think, especially in this business, venture capital, it is an apprenticeship business. And so understanding the power of building relationships is so critical. I mean, it is so important because there isn't a textbook that you can read. And increasingly, there are classes that you can take, right? But I think people learn best by doing in this industry. And so,
100.
like, how do you build those relationships against something that transcends venture capital? The last thing I wanted to say, and I want to keep tying it back to the expertise that you have around storytelling. I recently had the privilege to speak to my niece's high school class in a town in Oregon. And what was so cool was trying to figure out how to translate what I know about our industry to high school students. One, because it can be quite complicated and it's not something that they run into on a regular basis. But then number two, to really help them see the opportunity to be part of the innovation economy because they're often at the receiving end of technology. And what I think about more and more is it's that and it's stories where they can see themselves being part of the innovation. So where are
Yeah.
the positive examples in pop culture of people who are innovating that look like them? And I think that is something that I'm really geeked out to see in the coming years.
Yeah. And, we tried to show a diverse group of women that are
You
innovating.
did a stellar job. You did a
Thank you.
stellar job.
And
Yes.
one of the most rewarding things you just reminded me was I was at a screening, I think it was in Nashville, and this woman walked up to me with her like little 8-year-old girl. Maybe she's 8 or 10. I'm not very good with age, but I'm sure she wasn't 40, but she was 8 or 10.
You're like, there's like a gap in there, 8 to 40.
She was like eight or
Fantastic.
10.
She
And
wasn't 40.
she said, "Oh, I love the movie." And I said, "Oh, well, what did you love about it?" She said, "I love seeing all the things that women invented, and I want to be an inventor." I was like, "Oh, I love this." And so I do think that the storytelling, like you said, people sitting in the audience, I wanted them to say, "I see myself in this arena, in this venture arena."
That's right.
Either as an innovator, or let's say you don't have the great idea, someone who could invest in them. How exciting is that? That's a legacy too, right?
That's right.
Or, wow, I could start my own fund too.
Yes.
So, I think between those three things that all come together to make up this ecosystem, that most people that attend our Show Her the Money movie see themselves in one of those capacities. And I love that there's organizations out there like All Raise that support their interest in that endeavor. So thank you for the work that you do.
Oh my gosh, thank you for the work that you do. I have to tell you that that movie has come up more times than I can count at this point. And I think what's great about it, it helps women and non-binary folks, people of color, understand the power in participating in investing. And it is, I think it's a risky asset class for sure, but there's a lot of opportunity there. And I think what's really exciting, especially as we look at this great wealth transfer that's happening, is that we can help people understand that yes, you can be involved in philanthropic efforts, but you can also play here and affect the future of products and services that again affect value in the private and the public markets. And so I think you all did such a beautiful job of that.
Thank you. And, especially I think with women over 50, they're great philanthropists, but they have to understand what power there is. And it is a form of philanthropy to invest in for-profit innovations, but that they should shift some of that money over there. And like you were just saying, to realize there's a tremendous power in this, but also a tremendous reward. And we are always told that venture is very risky. This is what I say. Every investment's risky. You could invest in a house and the market tanks. You know what I mean? It's like
Yep.
I think every woman who can and that would be women, that have over 1 million in assets or earning 200,000 plus, which is a lot of women.
It
Um,
is.
they should look at taking a part of their portfolio and putting it in this asset class, which really, what I love about venture capital is it's really like putting it in a mutual fund. I mean, you're putting your money together with other people into a fund that's then being deployed to 20 or 30 companies, which then makes it a little less risk adverse. Just like a mutual fund, only the mutual fund that you probably have your money in, you don't even know who's running it. You don't even know what they're investing it in. So it's almost more exciting because you have a chance to meet the founders, to really be a part of that journey, to make an impact, maybe make introductions or mentor them. It's a very exciting type of investment that a lot of wealth advisors will not tell women about. One, because it won't benefit the wealth manager. And two, because they don't even know much about it themselves. It's amazing how many really smart, accomplished people don't really understand venture capital. And as you can see from our movie, it's not that hard to understand. And it's very exciting, can be very lucrative. I mean, you look at the public market, the average return is 10%. And right now, I'm not even sure that. But in venture capital, the average is 20%. Because even if your portfolio is made up of some companies that make it and some that don't, you only need one or two and you're going to do really well. So venture capital, I think, is not as risk averse as people make it out to be. Not to say that I think anybody should ever put 100%, but if you can do 1 to 5% from your IRA or from your family inheritance or whatever it is, you can be building wealth at a greater degree than any other asset class while making a tremendous impact and leaving a legacy, which is the most important thing, right? And so I'm a little passionate about venture
I
capital.
love it. I think it's interesting as you're talking about this. I was just reflecting today in preparation for our conversation on my own experience with learning about this asset class. And I remember back when I was a chief operating officer at a company called Founder Gym. We trained underrepresented founders on how to raise venture capital. It was started by this amazing woman named Mandela Schumacher Hodge Dixon, and I had the privilege of working on that team. And one of the things that I reflected on as I wrapped up my time there was that I'd love to be an angel investor, right? I would love to be able to back someone else's dream, and especially having been a founder myself, my husband is a founder. I understand the importance of those early bets.
Yeah.
as I have stepped into this role, I've gotten really excited about also being an LP at some point
Yes.
because I think there's such a tremendous opportunity to, again, like you talked about, also back experts, right? Back those VCs who are out of the market, who have a really, interesting thesis and are going after the best companies, and to be part of that bigger story with other folks. And so I think the more that we can educate people about the opportunities, both to be an angel and also to be an LP, especially for folks who are coming into wealth, I think we're going to see some really exciting changes in the ecosystem because those people at the top of the capital stack are shifting money into this asset class and therefore are part of looking for the next generation of companies. And again, who has their ear to the ground, nose to the ground, I don't know, depends on who
Yeah.
you're talking
Yeah.
to, where you're from.
Something to the ground.
But they're like on the hunt for the best companies, and
Yes.
like you said, as more and more women are starting firms and we can help back them, they have really specific and exciting perspectives that, by the way, aren't just investing in women but are also investing in economies that have been, I think, not really paid attention to. There's a whole group of VCs in the Midwest that I get really excited about who are
Yes.
investing in the future of agriculture, right? The future of construction. Like, those are interesting industries, and there
Yes.
are women at the helms of these funds who are the helm of these funds who are looking for those opportunities and investing in them. And that's infrastructure. And
Yes.
so I'm super geeked to see what they hunt down. And I
Too.
really aspire to be part of supporting more women and non-binary and people of color who are in investing roles.
Yes, and I can't imagine anybody who wouldn't want to be part of this because
It's
it would
so
be filled
cool,
with
right?
opportunity. Yes.
Yeah,
And here's-
Catherine, it's so cool.
yes, and you get to meet the most brilliant people on the planet, and
Yes.
really a fun ride as well,
Yeah.
wealth building and making
Yeah.
a difference in the world.
Yeah.
Um, And, it's interesting on my journey of making this movie, I met so many interesting people, many who invested in the movie. And one of them was John Majeski, who became my business partner in Silicon Valley Women Founders Fund. And what I'm excited about there is, here John worked finding the top technologies out there for Dell and Lenovo and HP, companies like that. Women have never had that opportunity to get their technologies on the big tech radars to be invested in or acquired. He said he was out there, acquiring them for these companies, and he never even saw women because they never even got the initial funding so that they could even get to the level to be on the tech radar. So I'd like to think, we also have to realize by investing in these things, we are changing up the ecosystem so that we don't overlook innovations of people who haven't been getting funding, women, BIPOC, LGBTQ, um, because it'll only hurt the planet. We need all of that brain power, all of those innovations. So not only do they make a great investment, but they impact the world, your family, your health, the environment, all of those things. And who doesn't want to be a part of investing in those solutions? What an incredible opportunity, right?
Yeah, I think that's right. And as I think more and more about what the future looks like, I think, again, this is an important balance that we continue to strike, which is reporting out on the numbers, whether it's the percentage of funding that goes to women at the earliest stages,
Yeah.
non-binary folks at the earliest stages as founders, and then also the number of people who are in decision-making roles to hire and wire who are women or non-binary folks. I think what's important for us to remember is we have to track those numbers. We have to track the outcomes for those
Yes.
numbers because that helps us continue to show the business case for these kind of
Yes.
decisions, and we have to hold up the people as examples. And I can't remember who it was. So, person out there, if you're listening, no, I'm thinking of you. And that it was you who shared this with me. It didn't come from me. But when I first started my role at Allraise as the CEO, I went on a 7 city strategy tour in about 6 weeks, where I had the privilege of talking to 150 plus 200 people, in person, virtually, small group conversations, one on one, about where we should focus our time and effort. And
Right.
two things I wanted to share with you came out of that connect to this now. Number one is you have to pass along stories that interrupt that phone call where people are trading deals. They're sharing deal flow with each other. And the way that you do that is you hold up examples that are easy for them to recall when they think about a success. So they're
Yes.
like, you know what? I remember this founder, this person is like that founder. So, how do you make sure that you're offering new patterns to match against that reflect the kind of success that we know women and non binary folks can show in the world? And so, over and over again, part of our job is to say, oh, did you know about this founder who IPO'd who's a woman or non binary person, right? Did you know about this investor who backed that deal, this group of investors? And by the way, they're successful in X, Y, and Z ways. And so, people are pattern matching against the investors and the founders that look different. We need it depends on what you like. I'm a big nerd for science fiction and fantasy. So if we're going with a more diverse Lord of the Rings, the or Avengers, whatever that might look like for you, but picking that group of people that you're pattern matching against is important, and it needs to show up in the mythology that we all internalize and we use to talk to each other about who we want to invest in, who we want to support. The
Yes.
second piece about that is you cannot change who gets checks if you don't change who writes checks. And so,
100%.
right, this is
100%.
why you get to be expansive and it's good
Yeah.
for everybody. And you know what's exciting to me is hearing the stories of women, non-binary folks, men who say, you know what, my firm is better when I bring different perspectives to the table because they spot deals that I'm not going to spot. And the data is clear that when you have diverse teams, they outperform because they have diversity of thought. They can push on each other. They can connect to different networks. And so I think that's what we need to continue to reinforce. And actually, that's one of the reasons we decided to narrow our focus to women and non binary VCs. We
Right.
wanted to focus on the decision making side. That's what our network is was strongly seated with. And that's where we could have the biggest impact to help move the needle on the founder side.
Exactly. And we're a dual gender founded fund with Silicon Valley Women Founders Fund,
Yes.
focused on,
Yes.
but focused on funding women, which is
Yes.
kind of unheard of in Silicon Valley. We're trying to break a mold and hope that more follow, because the most successful, Fortune 500 companies have both genders running it
That's
because it
right.
just brings something different to the table, right? And we shouldn't be afraid to say that. It doesn't need to be all men. It doesn't need to be all women. It's perfectly fine to have dual gender run companies and funds. And I think that we should support that endeavor. One of the things I love about All Raise, and I love this on your site, you guys are great about following the numbers and keeping track of what's happening in the percentages and whatnot. You're right. That's so important so we can measure our growth. I do hope in the next 5 to 10 years, like by 2030, that we see a significant change in this. And I think one of the things will be going back to what we originally were talking about is educating people
Yeah.
at a young age so that that young people in high school and college start thinking of venture as a career path and figuring out how exciting it is. I've talked to a couple of young people in it, and it's so interesting. The ones in it today seem to have fallen into it, but it'd be nice if the intentionality is actually, oh, yes, I want to go down that exciting path. And I think young people today, as innovative as they are, as progressive as they are, the way they love, influencing and, new products and being early adapters, that they would love being in venture capital, which is perfect for people in that arena that love early adaption and knowing about upcoming innovation. So I think if they just knew about it, and so yeah, that's something we got to work on, Paige. We got to get it into the high schools and colleges. I know we're focused on it. We have to team up on that.
Yeah, that's a great idea. And I'll tell you also, there's a wonderful group, the Wise at Northeastern in Boston. So shout out to that group. And they did this wonderful tour where they brought members of their group out to Silicon Valley and did a tour. And I've had the privilege of interacting with them as well and getting to know them. And so they're learning about business and innovation and venture capital and finance in college, which is great. But then they're also having real world experiences. And again, you need to be out in the world and seeing what's possible. You need to build relationships with people who already have that job so you can learn more about it. I think the other part, and this is, something I've been reflecting on quite a bit, is diversity and age in your firm can help you spot opportunity as well. And so, how are we thinking about recruiting
Yes.
the next generation of folks who are getting to this industry and also helping them be really good at the job? And again, I think that is apprenticeship is so important in the business, and it takes intentionality to say, okay, we're going to hire this person. I'm going to take them under my wing. I'm going to show them the ropes
Yep.
and I'm going to listen to them and be open to their ideas and the deals in the markets that maybe they're seeing that I'm not because I'm not connected to that. And again, I go back to my nieces who I'm very close to, and just hearing that about the trends they're seeing, the music they're listening to, the world is so different for them now than it was for
Yes.
me. And so it's such a privilege to have diversity in age on your team because you get a chance to learn from them. Who was it? I was talking to somebody else the other day who was also saying, she's a GP at a large firm. She said, getting to learn from people who've also been through this. She's like, I haven't been through as many cycles as some of my partners have. So getting to hear their perspective as well helps me stay away from these like bubbly opportunities because they can
Yeah.
say, hey, time out. We've seen this before and let me talk you through that. So I think there's also, and this is why education, as you talked about, is a forever thing, but this intergenerational team building is so
Yes.
important. And you have to really be intentional around helping people
Yes.
connect across generation. And we have so many generations in the workforce right now so it's an opportunity. But again, it takes really good systems and processes to help leverage that inside a firm.
100%. I know we're bringing in apprentices from colleges because
Love it.
we do feel that they have a pulse on things that we don't.
Yeah,
And then it gives them real world opportunity to learn, how do you vet companies and things like that.
that's
Uh,
right.
yeah. So yeah, we definitely need to see more of that.
I need
Well,
more of that. Yeah,
Paige, how do people join All Raise and who
great.
would be a good fit for that? And how do they
Yeah.
join it? How do they connect with you?
Yeah, so I would say first, if you are a woman or a non-binary VC you are out at a firm, you're an associate, you started your own firm, you work at a big firm, we want you here. And so please come and join our membership. It's free. You can head on over to allraise.org. And we have programs that run all year long that are based on title. And then we also have programs throughout the year in different geos across the country. So we have a lot of breakfast. We're a big fan of breakfast around here because it's kind of a nice time of day, right? I don't know about you, Catherine, but
Oh,
I'm
I'm
getting
a
real
big breakfast
sleepy.
person, Paige.
Come
I'm
on.
there. You already
We're eating
sold me.
food. We're home by bedtime, right? That is my favorite thing. But we host events across the country. We're increasingly also doing events. And I'm actually really curious about your thoughts on this. Maybe another time we'll talk. But we're increasingly connecting with women's sports, which is really, really exciting. We know that
Oh,
that
yeah.
industry is growing, it's on the rise. And so we hosted a wonderful event with the Unrivaled founders and Alex Morgan in Miami in January. And you're going to see All Raisers at more events that are connected to women's sports.
Oh, I
And
love that.
then yeah, it's super exciting. And then we have our annual VC Summit, which is mostly for senior women and non-binary folks. We also invite men and LPs to be part of that experience. And we'll be announcing our registration probably late May, early June 2025, but that's an annual event. So those are all the
Annual.
fun ways to
Great.
get involved. Yeah, head over to
And is that the same
allraise.org.
month every year?
Well, for the last few years, it's been in November. And so at this point, I imagine it's staying in November this year. It's in November. But what I would share with folks is that just like any All Raise program, and this is kind of the fun of our work, is that everything is built in collaboration between volunteers and staff. So every single initiative, program, event is built by volunteers for the community and by
Great.
staff for the community. And so what's exciting about that is that every year it's a little different, right? Because it's responsive to the market, it's responsive to people's needs. And so it may move. I'm not sure about 2026.
And where's the one in November?
It will be in Half Moon Bay at the Ritz-Carlton. It's November 5th through 7th. And again, for women and non-binary VCs, men and LPs, and it's a 2.5 day event that is actually mostly breakout sessions and networking. So people get a chance to learn in these off-the-record conversations, again, about
Yeah, I
what it
heard about
really
the one
takes.
last year and it sounded amazing. So bravo.
Oh, Yes, the team, oh, volunteers, staff, just knocked it out of the park. Couldn't be any more proud of them. So it was a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Well, thank you so much for the work that you're doing and have been doing for a
thank
very
you.
long time. And
Thanks,
it
Catherine.
seems like you love what you're doing. So
I
that's
do.
cool.
I
Yeah,
do. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be right now,
I
Catherine. I'm
love
exactly
that.
where I'm supposed to be.
Well, I look at what's forward to what synergies we have. And do you want to give the website, your
Yeah.
LinkedIn, that kind of good stuff?
Yeah, I'm hanging out on LinkedIn. Paige Hendrix Buckner is where you can find me. We're over at allraise.org. And if you want to reach out to me specifically, you can hit up CEO at allraise.org. But we're also on all the socials for Allraise. You can go check out our content there. And just so honored to be doing this work in this time and really grateful that I get to talk to you.
Thank you so much. And we really appreciate everybody tuning in. You can find Paige Hendrix Buckner on LinkedIn. Of course, you can find me, Catherine Gray, Catherine with a C and Gray with an A. We do have a couple of websites you can visit, which is sheangelinvestors.com. You can visit our movie to see where it's going to be or book it for a screening, which is showherthemoneymovie.com. And then, of course, interested in learning about venture capital, Silicon Valley Women Founders Fund. We invest in women in tech. So thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. Paige, thanks for a great interview. So nice to get to meet you.
Thanks,
And I
Catherine.
look forward to the great things that we can do together in the future.
Same. I'm
Thanks.
excited. Thanks, Catherine.
Thanks, everybody. See you next week. Bye bye.